tonight's tactical enhancement is butterscotch schnapps. Tonight we're playing Victory at Sea. 2,000 points of the Italians versus the Imperial Japanese Navy. And it's actually more like 1,800 versus 2,000 because the Italian Navy, the Regia Marina, is a sweeping clear, isn't it? To push through from their side of the table up the other side of the table. And the Japanese are doing a defense line to try and stop them from doing it. And Emilio has very courageously decided to have a proper fight rather than just trying to slip up a flank. So that way he can gun for a major victory if he gets more than half his ships off and gets more points. Whereas we get a minor victory if we just stop him from getting more than half his vehicles off. Now we could have gone bonkers with the planes to try and torpedo bomb everything, but no. We decided to mix it up as well. And on the Japanese side, in addition to me, we have the young admiral who's taking command of the Yamato and the air assets. As I'll manage the carrier and these other 3 ships here. Now, Emilio, talk us through what you've got.
Okay, probably I'll just start a bit more on strategy as well. Yes, I've got more ships than Chris, and so when it came to deployment and putting ships on one at a time, I had a huge strategic advantage because I just put my destroyers on first, and then I knew exactly where Chris had laid out his fleet. And the biggest risk for me so far is the Yamato. But I decided rather than field my ships to the left side of the sea and the right side of the flank of my sea, I'm going to put them straight bang in the middle for a big biff. And I think that would be more entertaining for the video for viewers today. Which means Chris is going to be hard to damage because he's just a big heavy armoured ship. But at the same time, his guns are so large that he can actually do critical damage on a roll of 5 or 6 for every one that gets through.
And each hit is 4 dice as well.
Yeah, so I get 3 dice on my battleships, except for my smaller battleship gets 2 dice, but his Yamato gets 4 dice. So anything he decides to target is going to have to sweat. He may not be able to sink one of my battleships in one turn, but he definitely could do critical damage and disable one of my ships in 2 turns. So for me to get a minor victory, I need to get half my fleet off the table, but at the same time I want a proper biff of it. I did spend extra points on land planes coming into the battle, so I've got wrote down 2 bombers and 3 extra fighters. That's 5 extra planes, which gives me a slight air superiority over Chris at the beginning of this battle. Which is what I want, because my planes are +2 in the +2 in the combat for fighters, and +1 for the bombers. But the bombers are 2 toughness, so he's got to do 2 wounds to my planes to drop them out of the sky.
Well, that's with AA fire, but the fighter will still knock them out just as easy.
I've still got air superiority because of the numbers at the beginning of the game. So aircraft against aircraft carrier, we're about equal, I think, the way that I've set up my deployment.
Pretty much. I think I've got 3 fighter flights up and 2 dive bomber flights up.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out.
And just the lineup as well, I've got the Aquila class defence carrier, 210 points, and I bought those 5 extra planes. I've got the Littorio class battleship, which is my best battleship, 550 points apiece.
Yeah, 2 of them.
2 of them, which basically the 2 battleships are equal to the Yamato. And then the smaller battleship is the Conte di Cavio class battleship, which was 370 points. And at this stage, I have decided that I wouldn't do any upgrades for those ships. I also bought 6 Navigatori class destroyers. These ships are small, fast, and they cost 35 points each. I had the option to upgrade the torpedoes, and I've decided to do that. So they can shoot 3. They're 35 points each. They're cheap.
Yep.
And then for an extra 5 points, it's only 5 points, Chris, they actually will get an extra torpedo. So as far as Italian destroyers go, they're fast. They've actually got 5 hull points, so reasonably strong.
Pretty good.
But for this deployment, I should be able to get some over to the other side and throw a fair amount of torpedoes at Chris.
Cool. Well, you've got 6 destroyers at 40 points each. That's 240 points. And I've got 200 points of destroyers, and that gives me 2. But they do have a flying fuck ton of long lance torpedoes on them, and I've also got a heavy cruiser, Megumi, and that's got a reasonable hull points for a cruiser. Pretty good guns actually. It's like 10 barrels, but it's got an awful lot of long lance torpedoes. Carrier is a carrier, and of course there's the Yamato. So as long as Emilio doesn't roll anything too catastrophic in the critical damage tables, that should do all right. Just make a right old mess of things for a little while. So on that note, we'll roll a dice. Let's roll it in the middle of the table, and we'll see if he gets turn 1. We did do the reconnaissance rolls, but it didn't amount to anything of significance. So let's roll some d10s. So he gets turn 1. Alright, that's a 2. Young Admiral, would you like to roll the dice? Roll it to that white one there. You need to get 2 or higher. 6. Excellent. We get the initiative. That means they have to move first, and we get to shoot first. That's the way you want it. Alright folks, we'll check in at the end of turn 1. End of turn 1. Now we're being outmaneuvered because there's so many more ships on the Italian side. They've moved up and they've concealed their big hitters, except for the aircraft carrier, which is way off there in the corner, where we really can't get to it. We did move up using a bit of cover ourselves, hide the cruiser, because those big guns and those big battleships will eat that cruiser alive. Yamato came out here to position itself to put lots of hurt down range, but no shooting happened. The Yamato's even out of range of that thing of the Aquila carrier over there, which means the next turn basically 3 ships are all going to gang up on the Yamato all at once. That's going to hurt a bit. We've sent our dive bombers and fighters out here. There's some nice targets there.
There's 3 fighters,
2
dive bombers.
And there's some nice little destroyer targets over there. Meanwhile, Emilio held his fighter bomber combo, 3 fighters and 4 bombers over there.
The other way around, 4 fighters, 3 bombers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're over there, just staying out of range of these guys from being able to jump in this turn.
Yeah. But I did move, so I've got some options.
Yeah, yep. So, and we also move, so we're in strike distance of ships, but not able to get pounced on by these guys.
Yep.
First, depending on who gets to move first, that would be a bit of an issue. We did try to fire the Yamato at the fighters, but we're just out of range for our dual-purpose guns. So that's it. It is a turn of getting ready for turn 2, which we shall kick into now. Gentlemen, if you would like to roll your dice for who gets initiative.
2.
2
Lucky
versus
you.
a 4. We get the initiative again. That's
Well
going to be useful.
done. That's
Good
very
work,
good
son.
for you.
Alright, we'll check in at the end of turn 2. End of turn 2. Right, so we moved up here. We moved the Yamato around. We got just 1 bomber unit out there. Then I got a bit careless. I made sure our planes were not going to get pounced on, but I didn't think about the destroyers, and I forgot that he can still hurt my destroyers with his level bombers. I mean, they're not hugely powerful, but they can cause me some real problems. So they went after these destroyers. So we ended up sending our fighters into them anyway, and it was a pretty even fight. We lost 2, we killed 2. That dogfight is ongoing, but it did stop the bombing run from happening on our destroyers. Over here, we sent our destroyers in onto this boat and that one there, but the battleship here used some ranged AA and actually picked off one of the dive bombers, so that was useful. In the main fight, the Yamato got to shoot first because we won initiative. We went for the slightly further away battleship because I want to have more time in range, and he's got more maneuverability to get away. We put one cripple on the engine, but we also put a cripple on the magazine. So before he shoots any weapon system, he's got to roll a 4+ to confirm that it's actually getting ammo to it. It doesn't escalate, unfortunately, even though technically the magazine's on fire. Now, we put a light guns onto that destroyer. And we also dropped a dive bomber there onto him, but we only did 2 points of damage. So that destroyer is crippled, but there's no criticals or anything. So it was a bit, it's a bit lackluster, really. And we rolled rather crap for our fire when we fired the Yamato. We missed more than we hit, even though we needed 3s to hit. Now, in return, the Italian ships just went hammer and tongs and actually put plenty of rounds on target. But that 5+ armor, because we're armor 7, so he needs a 5 to damage, whereas Italian ships are armor 6, they need a 4 to damage. So the that extra armor's really saved our bacon, and even when Emilio's rolled up lots of criticals, he's actually failed to confirm them. So it was a bit of luck both ways. You know, we did poor job of hitting, but then we did all right in the criticals. In fact, we're only 2 out of our 6.
You only got 2 criticals through. One of them was a 10. Yeah. And that's what hurt me.
Yeah, that's right. So our dice were crap, but then Emilio's dice were also crap when it came to the important bit. So it's on for young and old. Gentlemen, let's roll up some initiative. Hold on to that 10-sided dice there.
7 is a good number.
Roll the red dice next to that white one.
8!
He's got the initiative again. Good work, son. And of turn 3. It's getting interesting. We have a little flotilla launching here. We've got a couple of planes up, but of course, no, we only got one up this turn, but then we've got that one over there as well, forming up. Now, over here, we lost the dogfight in that one plane had a tie against the fighter was up against, and the other one had a loss. So they're all stacks on, but one of the micro rules here is that if all your fighters and bombers are in one cluster, then they have to win the dogfight before they can break off. Whereas if you have them in lots of little clusters, then you could have some fights going on, but they don't affect the other little clusters. So we forgot that when we were throwing it all in. So that's going on, which is good, because that's really the only thing that's protecting my destroyers from leaving them insufficiently protected.
Yeah.
This turn, the cruiser dumped its torpedoes out and did some damage on one of the big battleships. I did that because I knew Emilio would take the soft target while he had it, and sure enough, he blasted that heavy cruiser good and proper. That's 280 points gone. He did get a few they'll be standard turrets out. Did a bit of damage on some destroyers. That destroyer's on one hull point. It's buggered. The Yamato had a go, and it went for the same damaged battleship in the middle there. Walloped the living daylights out of it, frankly. He got 8 out of 9 hits. Took a lot of points off. Not too many criticals, but what he did get was bad. That thing, magazine's on fire. It can't repair damage. It's got all sorts of problems. Then we fired both of the destroyers at this battleship here, and we hit with 4 out of the 16 shots, so slightly below average. The damage probably came in about average for what I did get through. That thing's now got problems too. His rudder is fucked, so we got a critical, so he can only turn left. Bearing in mind their objective is to get off the table. His speed is reduced. The speed of the speed of the other battleship is reduced. That thing's his engines are rooted and actually on escalation.
In my turrets, there's 50% chance they're actually going to work.
That's right. And in the first turn where he had that problem, all 3 turrets worked. This turn, none of them worked. So it's not looking good for the Italians. Actually, I have to say this turn was nasty.
Unless I win initiative now.
Well, yeah, because the flip side is you've got 3 unmolested destroyers. You've got a couple which are a bit damaged, but they're still operating. And the Yamato is rather close to them, and they've all got torpedoes. So I think it's probably going to be a bit of stacks on the Yamato in a moment. And of course, I can't fire any torpedoes this turn from my destroyers because they're reloading. And we're going to lose that last fighter. So I think the Italian fleet's going to bring it back somewhat, but geez, it's going to be a messy fight. But on that note, gentlemen, let's roll our initiative dice. You got a red dice there? So we got a 7 or higher, son. Young Admiral rolls
Oh
a 9.
my god, you've done it again.
Done it again, 4 turns in a row. Alright, we'll check in at the end of turn 4.
I'm dead.
End of turn 4, I think that was.
Yes.
Right, so lots more happened than what the table shows. We sent some dive bombers over there. One missed, the other one dropped 4 out of... Yeah, 4 points of damage to that destroyer that's now crippled. Now, in the dogfight over here, they polished off the last of our fighters. He didn't have a very good chance. He rolled a 1 actually, and we're thinking he may have bowed out. Now...
So I've got 3 bombers and 3 fighters left over here.
That's right, because he threw an extra one in along the way. Yeah, an extra fighter. Okay, so... There was no torpedoes, no long lance torpedoes, because they were reloading. We fired some rounds out and did a little bit of damage on a destroyer, not much. The Yamato dropped a considerable amount of fire, further crippling that most powerful ship there. That thing is now in a situation where it's got magazines on fire, it can't repair its criticals, all sorts of other shit going.
Engines -5.
Yeah, can't turn. Well, no, it has to turn to the left, but it can't turn because it can only move 1 inch.
Yeah.
All sorts of... No, it's dead in the water, actually. All sorts of nonsense. And both of those ships there have to roll a 4+ before they can use any weapon system. That greatly reduced the fire back in the Yamato. The Yamato pumped out some rounds with his light guns, but not as many as we would have liked. What we did manage to do was cripple and then destroy one of the destroyers before it dumped its rounds at point blank on the Yamato, because that would have been bad. But this other cheeky sausage here fired, needing 5s to hit with his torpedoes. 2 out of 3 hit, and they did quite a lot of damage to the Yamato. Not so much on actual damage points, although there is quite a few. It's lost about a third of its points now. But it did one of the criticals, which adds 1 to every other critical, and did 46 points worth of extra hull damage. That was massive. It just did shit, is what it did. It really hurt the Yamato and brought it back down to the level of the game, because previously the Yamato was sitting on only 10 hull points lost. Yeah. So she's still going strong, but we're going to have to think about what to do with her this turn, because that shit really hurt.
Do you want to do repairs now, or it's later?
We should do repairs now, actually. And
so I've got a chance here and a chance here.
Yeah, now both of these ships are... But now you get to see which ones can actually repair, because at least one of yours can't.
Yes, I think it was that... this one here can't do the repair.
Can't do the repairs, yeah, because we
so this one here, 5 or a 6 is a repair?
Yep. No. Nothing. Whoa.
Okay. And you, 4, 5 or 6, isn't it?
No, 5, 6 still, actually.
5, 6, you roll... No.
No damage repair. Okay. We have something that we can do about that next turn, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sort out our escalations, because there's a few of them. Yeah, because you still got quite a few torpedoes in your bays. So the next thing we have to do is initiative. Yes. Can we do 5 in a row?
Right, you roll first this time, because I've rolled first all the time.
Got to hit the table, son. Yeah, try another one and roll it slower.
Yeah, we'll get that one later. 4.
Uh-oh.
Now, here we go.
1!
You did it!
Oh, my lordy mine.
That's 5 times in a row. You've actually beat me on initiative.
Well, on that note, we better check in at the end of turn 5. End of turn 5. Well, it's getting to be a bit of a horror show. We started off by firing one of the destroyers at that ship there. Actually, I'll explain what we did. We manoeuvred the Yamato away, pumping smoke out the back, because she's hurting a bit much and needs to disengage at least until the amount of fire reduced, and also to make it a bit harder for these destroyers to swamp her with torps. Now, none of us made any of our damage repair rolls last turn. All these battleships are accruing a lot of damage. Most of these planes swamped one destroyer. Then another bomber came in from far away. We threw a fighter into this fight and a fighter into that bomber that was coming in by itself. In the dogfight, we took out the single bomber flight that was unsupported, but yeah, over here we got our asses handed to us, basically, which is not surprising when you look at how many enemy flights are there. We tried to shoot with a carrier, didn't get anything. We did get a couple of planes up, but so did the Italians. The enemy fleet was having a hard time manoeuvring, So, but they still had 2 ships that could get rounds down on the Yamato. We fired one of the destroyers and put an awful lot of shot onto that old aging battle ship there, and I think we hit like with, I don't know, 3 or 4 torpedoes or something. It just
crippled.
Did a number on it, frankly. That really reduced the return fire, and it actually missed when it returned fire because it's now at long range and facing the rear arc instead of the side. We fired a couple of shots at that battleship, the one that's not there anymore, with the Yamato, and then we put a lot of light rounds into these other ships here. Then I fired the second destroyer. Oh, did I fire at that? Is that what fucked him up?
Which one?
So my destroyer, I think I got that guy with the destroyer.
Yep.
Yeah, and that plus all the escalations and everything else just totaled him. We were rolling multiple 3d6s on all the things hitting 6 on escalation chart. Although that and this are both dead in the water, because we went through the escalations, and both of our ships are really having a hard time at the moment. It's not great.
It's doomsday, because I think they can both just be destroyed just on escalations this turn.
Potentially, yeah, and the Yamato can quite easily be crippled on escalations this turn.
Yeah.
We actually just did those escalations, so it'd be a question of whether they're escalating at the end of next turn. And then now some torpedoes came out here, but they didn't do a lot of damage. And so there's lots of little bits of light damage on things. So these destroyers have got light damage. This one's taken, not quite. Yeah, so that destroyer's crippled.
Yes,
that destroyer's crippled.
Yeah, there's 3 destroyers crippled.
That one we're pumping
This
every
one's-
light shot that we had. That one's fine.
Yeah.
But I think he fired his torpedoes at one of my destroyers in order to blow away the destroyer, and he got it. And we worked out his critical damage on the engines, even though he rolled 11 points of damage from the torpedoes. So basically, he blew the back half of the boat off. And that was that.
So initiative. This is
initiative last turn.
Leon. You roll your red dice again. And let's see if you get 6 in a row. 7. Oh, that's a big number. 5. You did it.
6 turns straight, the entire game, winning
6
the initiative for the Japanese, so that's convenient.
God.
Well, on that note, we will check in at the end of turn 6. End of turn 6, I think that was. Oh, and it's been crazy and destructive all over the place. 2 destroyers with all of about 1 hull point each run away with smoke going. He positioned these ones very cleverly with smoke to avoid the light guns from the Yamato. That's probably why they're both still there. One of them dumped all 6 of his unused torpedoes on my last destroyer and collected it good and proper. So that was effective. That's another 100 points gone. But I did manage to expend all of the long lance torpedoes out of both of my destroyers, so I got my points worth. We fired 3 rounds out the back turret. Only one of them hit. It collected that ship there, but that was enough. That just tipped it over the edge, and with the escalations, because everything was already so high up on the criticals, we had some cascading criticals and it blew up. As for the Yamato, I had a dogfight in this mess here. We killed nothing. They killed one of our planes. And I should have shot at that thing, actually. I didn't think to do so. But the Yamato, we only managed to repair 1 of the damaged systems, which spared us 3d6 damage points. But then the escalations were still kicking around, so we took another 3d6 in total anyway from various different things. And that just put us on the exact amount to count as critical, sorry, as crippled. So the end wash-up is no ships got off the table. There's not many of them left, and what is left is in a bad way. However, both our carriers are untouched. We scored quite well. I think you won the air battle in the end in terms of killing more stuff. But by continually feeding things into fight, we stopped you from doing your bombing runs on my destroyers, which meant your destroyers were...
You got more torpedoes off, basically.
Yes, that's how I got those out. Because my cruiser went after only firing 1 volley, so that was what it was. I have no idea what it is points-wise, except the Yamato is still there, and there's 1,100 points worth of dead ships over there. So we did score a major victory for the young admiral and daddy. And all I can say is thank you very much for being a good sport and playing for the battle and not running away like a pansy up the far flank of the board. Oh, look at that.
I did it purely for entertainment.
Oh, yeah, it was worth it. That was a cracker of a game. Alrighty.
Ready?
Well, on that note, thanks for watching. Our wives are calling us, so feel free to hit like, subscribe, stop covering my camera, please. Time to call it a night.